What's up, guys? It's your girl, Holiday the Golden Child, and I usually like to start it off with saying bad bitch, good credit, but I think we're in 2024 and we're elevating, and as much as I want you guys to elevate, I gotta elevate with you. So we're no longer calling ourselves bitches, and we still bad and we still got the good credit. So we're gonna upgrade that to boss chicks with good credit. Y'all agree?
Like that.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's the elevation for 2024. Welcome to Hot with Holiday. I always have somebody dope, but I got somebody's dope in our chair today and sitting in our hot seat. So we definitely going to get spicy and talk about not what y'all think we talking about, but it's definitely might raise your blood pressure. It might get you excited. We hope it gets you excited. We hope it gets you we always use motivation, but we're not going to use motivation today. I hope it keeps you disciplined after you watch what you're going to watch today. Let me go ahead and just shut up and get to the money because we like to talk about the money. I'm going to introduce Quincy Can you do it?
I told you, you was getting
Luzunaris. Quincy Luzunaris. Where are you from?
New York.
No, I mean, like, where's that name come
Puerto
from?
Rican.
Puerto Rican. You Puerto Rican with a 10. And we have Jeffrey Broome.
Yes, real simple.
Jeffrey, where are you from?
I'm from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. We have some experienced entrepreneurs today. We're going to talk about what I'm always preaching, what I'm always telling you guys to go get, the lifestyle that you guys see that you want. We're going to tell you how to attain it today by finding the wealth of knowledge and finances, funding personal and business. And basically, we're just going to give you the gems. It's called the 8 pillars of entrepreneurship. Is that correct? Did I say that right?
That's correct.
Okay. I don't like to mess up things. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So let's just get right into it. Quincy, you told us where you're from, but tell me a little bit about like your upbringing and when did your mindset shift? Like, I'm about my business. Like, let me figure. I don't know what that looked like. What does that look like?
Well, you let my mother tell it when I was in, I think she said 5th. I was 5. I love popcorn. I took Ziploc bags, poured popcorn in it, and took it to school and tried to sell it to my friends for 10 cents. Right? And she said, the moment you did that, I knew you were going to be an entrepreneur. So, I guess it could have been in me, but now the reality was, I've always been a boss mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And
what is a boss? Not to cut you off. Like, what is a boss to you?
I mean, just being the decision maker in every aspect of your life. Not really just being in control and being the one that makes all the decisions and being the dictator of your life in all areas. So, I never was a follower. So I knew that type of mentality and getting knowledge yourself at a young age really broadened, and opened my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always in me, and I knew that I would be on a path to entrepreneurism.
And Jeffrey, like, what was your mindset? Because you were supposed to be a basketball player, son. You sitting up here 7'7". What?
Yeah, I was a basketball player in the projects.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up like that, but similar to Quincy, inner city projects, Brooklyn, and we're from New York, so you got to kind of figure it out, right? There's always an extra. There's always something to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, best job I ever had in the projects, I was a paper boy. Everybody had a paper route, but it taught me a lot about being an entrepreneur at 11, 12 years old, getting up every single day, no days off, going to people, trying to collect money.
From what? What was your product?
Yeah, Daily News.
Daily News.
Daily News.
You was throwing the news at the doors?
Every day.
Okay.
Every day, Daily News, Sunday newspaper. But the level of commitment and discipline and sacrifice when everybody else was sleeping, when it was raining, when it was snowing, we were up making it happen. And my parents instilled us that this is what it's going to take, to make that happen.
Yeah.
And it just, people like myself and Quincy, it from an early age, and it just parlayed to everything else that I ever did in life. I was in the projects. I was still living at home with my parents, bought my first piece of a rental property, at 18 years old, and, read some great books. And I believe he said knowledge of self is extremely important.
What about for the people who don't have this I woke out of bed. I got on the right side. I knew from 2 years old. I was doing 100 times 100 when I was 5. Are you crazy? I can say the alphabet backwards by the time I was 7. Like, no. Like, that's just not. What about the people who are shelters? Some people who don't get out of that mix, and the 21, 22, 25, 46, 47, 51, 62, trying to figure it out. It's like, so what's the mind shift? Like, when do you say, like, okay, I'm ready?
I think find your talent. You know, I started cutting hair once I realized, you know, I grew hair from birth to 14 years old.
Really, I couldn't tell, but
right? So I got my first haircut at 14, and I guess being so obsessed with change, I started cutting my hair almost every other day, and that developed a skill set in becoming a barber. And at a young age, you know, cutting all my friends' hair in school, that instant gratification of I provide a service, you pay me right there on the spot, that changed everything for me. And I think that having that skill set can be the first start to realizing and finally finding, you know, where we are. So we just really got to dig deep into where my talents lie.
Right.
How can I monetize those talents in your finance?
How can we monetize? Monetize is the word. Let me take a sip of this.
Can I piggyback?
Yes.
I think it's like, you know, you think about old school roots, right? With Kunta Kinte. You know, you've got a number of individuals.
For those who do not know who Kunta Kinte is, can you please tell us who Kunta Kinte is?
So, you know, the old school movie Roots with Alex Haley.
Okay.
And Kunta Kinte was one of the slaves that he continually was always leading the rebellion and trying to get off the plantation, per se.
Smart man.
Smart man. But the bottom line is that there's a lot of people that were slaves that say, you know what, I'm not going to take that risk. I'm going to stay right here. And there's other people that say, this is not the lifestyle I'm supposed to have. I'm going to risk everything I have not to stay in this box. And that's what entrepreneurs are at the end of
Risk
the day.
takers.
So you know, whether you're 2 years old, you're 21, you get to that point in time in life, you're like, you know, son, I'm watching other people live. I deserve more. I need to have more. And I know I need to change my circumstances. And that's when people take that leap of faith. And some people think that, you know, they might never be in that position, that they can have more, deserve more, and willing to work for it to get more and take that risk. And it might not happen until they're 65 and live with regrets.
It's crazy because I like the word you said, regret, because that's what you end up doing when you don't go after your dreams and you don't go after just finances. You don't go after that guy, that girl. You let her walk past you in the restaurant. You're like, dang, I should have said something to her, and that could have been your wife. And now you see her in the mall, snuggled up with the new baby. You like, dang, that was supposed to be my baby. Like, you know, so. You gotta just take that shot. Like, the only one that you miss is the one that you don't take. And I think people people pick and choose what risk they want to take, and it's crazy. So it's like when we talk about finances, you took a lot of risk in your life. I'm sure you have, but you haven't taken this one, which is investing into yourself and taking a risk on yourself. We take risk in everybody else. We take risk on that baby daddy, moving that guy in the house that we barely know. He could be a killer, rapist, thug, whole gangbanger. We don't know what's going on. We don't move them in the house. We took a risk. Got him around our kids. You know what I'm saying? God forbid. Who knows? Like, we take all these risks and then we don't risk ourselves. And I'm like, I want everybody to stop doing that in this year. I don't even want to say the year, because I want you guys to take this video forever and be able to, like, play it back and understand, like, take those risks. Don't be scared to invest in yourself, because I hate to use Cat Williams, but he said, like, how could I expect you to invest in me if I'm not even taking the risk for myself?
No, I love what you said. You said we're not going to call ourselves bad bitches. We're going to call bosses, right?
Yeah. Don't
call yourself something that you don't want somebody else to call you.
Right. Except for my man, but go ahead.
But exactly, right? So, you know, I think it's about, like you said, what we perceive ourselves, who we are. And I'm sure he'll tell you, and I tell you, you need somebody else sometimes, even though you think you can do it. Sometimes you need somebody to say, you know what? You could do that. My older brother was the one, like, Jeff, you could do that.
Right.
But sometimes we don't believe. I'm sure you had some people, and even maybe with these things that you're doing as well, somebody say, you know what? Go do it. Yeah. So you got to have a real support system around
support. That brings me to my next conversation, support. How, when we get into credit, and we talk about the people who are lending this money, that's the support. Absolutely. Right? The financial advisor, that's the support. You need the support. So I always preach changing your circle, cultivating a group of friends, a group of people around you that have the same mind frame and align with what you're trying to do. Absolutely. And so when it comes to business, I have found that the more I surround myself around successful business people or entrepreneurs who have been successful, who are able to tell me about all their failures and what not to do, and because mentorship is the cheat code to life. I just take that with y'all. Great mentorship, not bad mentorship. Yes. You can lead me to Christ or crack. I don't want some crack. I want to go to Christ. So, you know what I'm saying? But just having great support. So let's just get into like, who was your first support where you knew like, okay, I'm trying to get into my first real big business, and where did that support come in? Because people first say, I can't do it because I don't have the money. So now you're an adult. And you're like, I want to get into some real money. I won't live at my mama's house no more. I don't want to sneak girls in the back door. I want to do what I want to do. Right. And so, like, where was your first like support system came from? What did that investment look like into yourself? What was the risk you took? And when did you finally know, like, all right, I elevated? I don't know who want to go first, but
I took a lot of risks for things that didn't bring that much reward growing up. So once I finally realized how important, assets are, and again, we don't have that many role models that we can touch in the communities that we come from. I know where I come from, where Jeff come from. So, outside of the household, we had to either figure it out, or if there were no direct mentors, we had to be self-motivated. And that's what it was like for me, realizing where I wanted to be, having that self-motivation, soaking up as much knowledge from my peers as I could. But when it came to point me in the right direction, I wasn't fortunate to have someone put me on a clear path. I had to figure it out. And what was normal and what I seen people be most successful in was real estate. So I knew credit, but I didn't know the power of it. And I had a good 9-to-5 at the time. I'm in my early 20s, and I'm hearing that in 10 years, they're building this stadium in the middle of Brooklyn. And I'm like, so buy up all the real estate that you can. And knew nothing about it.
You weren't scared? You weren't like, did you risk your last dollar, or you had a little chicken and you was like...
This is what I realized.
Okay.
When I realized that...
But was this like your last money that you invested, or was this like...
Up, because again, for me, I had the 9-to-5 that earned me the money. I was working as an assistant comptroller for this restaurant called the Cafeteria.
Oh yeah, I know that. It used to be 24 hours.
Yes,
it's a spot. It's still a spot, but yeah.
And I was there for a long time, and my goal was to always become an entrepreneur, but I needed the corporate structure. So I said, well, how can I throw myself into the corporate environment to really learn?
You got a 9-to-5.
I got a 9-to-5.
A 9-to-5 is the best experience because you know how to.
You have to.
How a business is actually run, especially if you're a part of that day to day. Don't count out the 9-to-5 now.
So the 9-to-5, I was able to save some capital, save some money. But then and this was my first introduction to credit, because the building said, it's 3 blocks away from where they're going to build at. If you hold on to it, it'll be worth 5 times as much at the time. The building costs about $1 million, a brownstone. And I'm like, $1 million? I can't afford this. It's like, it's credit. I'm like, my credit was like an 800 at the time.
Right.
And instantly I was approved, and I had to put a small amount down, which I had, but I was blown away how I just acquired $1 million asset with my signature and a small amount of money down. And it was at that moment that I realized how powerful credit was. Now, I wound up getting caught into a scam. I was sold a shell.
You got into DJ Envy?
The moment I brought it, the roof started caving in, the boiler started busting. It was a nightmare, and I kept trying to dump in everything I can to save it. And at one point, I get a call 3:00 in the morning from my tenant, crying. I could barely understand it. She didn't really speak English. All I knew was I needed to get over there. So I drove from Bronx to Brooklyn, in Kosciuszko. And as soon as I pulled up to the building, her husband opened the door, looked like he could kill me. And I looked in the background, and the mother was rocking a newborn, crying hysterically. And he tells me, follow me, and I went into the bathroom, and the whole tub from upstairs was in the tub from downstairs. Apparently, it was a leak. The conditions were so bad.
Was somebody in the tub?
She just took her daughter out the tub, and that was the fear.
Okay, but the people who fell from the ceiling.
No, the tub fell from the ceiling.
But there was nobody in that tub.
There was 2 in the morning.
Oh,
it just was a leak that slowly rotted the floor.
Oh, my God.
And at that moment, I realized the liability that I could have had.
Absolutely.
I said, I knocked on everybody's door, got everybody in the hallway. I said, from this moment on, you all live rent-free. I said, in New York, you probably got a good year or 2 before they come kicking you out. So save your money. And I let it go. And
why? Why'd you do that?
Well, number one is the risk wasn't worth the reward that I was making.
The risk wasn't worth the reward.
The monthly income was barely covering the mortgage.
You came here preaching, and you don't even know you preaching to a previous conversation I was having earlier. But the risk is not worth the reward. They know what I'm talking about, but it's just. But go ahead.
Well, long story short, we I let it go. And then I realized the ramifications on my credit profile, because now I'm like, I'm not paying it. I'm not generating any money anymore. And it destroyed my credit. And then I had to file for bankruptcy because there was no way that I was paying back on $1 million property. And when I filed for bankruptcy, I had a relative that filed also. That's how I knew about it. And on Facebook, she flossing, cutting ribbons to a new house. Here I am. My credit went from an 8 to 500. And I'm like, yo, cuz, you filed for bankruptcy before me. How you buying new crib? She said, no, I got my credit fixed. I said, you did what? I said, what's that? I said, no, I paid a guy to fix my credit. I'm thinking that once your credit is ruined, that's it. You're done.
Right.
I was expecting to go cash for the rest of my life. I was that uneducated because everybody around me I knew was in the same position, had bad credit with no solutions.
And having no credit is just as bad as having bad credit.
And she told me about it. I filed. Right after I filed, she introduced me to the gentleman that fixed her credit, and he couldn't articulate what he was gonna do, but I trusted him. I gave him $3,000, and in 6 months, he said, "Check your credit score." And we went from the 5 back up to the 7. I got on a flight the next morning, and I kept him hostage in Barnes and Noble until he taught me everything he knew. And literally, that was my introduction to, because I said, if I can do for my peers what you just did for me, I know how many lives that I can change.
Change the game.
And I learned it ever since. And that was my into my first real company, which was
You
Credit
love that.
Concepts.
I love that story. Quincy's my introduction into my Savior to Grace and my family saved to grace, and y'all saved to grace. So, but we'll get into that later.
Sure. Yeah. So,
Mr. Broome.
So very interesting story. And for me, we talk about role models, right? We can only aspire to what we see, right? If you never go to the penthouse, you never know what life is like in the penthouse.
It's nice there.
It's nice, right? Somebody's got to take you there, right? So, grew up in the inner city of Project Brooklyn, few people had homes. So, as far as investment property, I ran into a gentleman. He was a Caucasian gentleman. It's real kind of rich dad, poor dad, Robert Kiyosaki story. And,
wait, slow down. Robert Kiyosaki, who's that?
So Robert Kiyosaki is an awesome book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
Most people who are a little older, they know it as the blueprint on how money moves. And when
Is it still the blueprint? Is it
is.
recommendable?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Okay, what's it called again?
It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Can you tell?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Some of you guys know it. Robert Kiyosaki. Read the book. Get the audio book. It will change your life. It will help you understand the difference between the 4 quadrants of employee, business owners, investment, self-employed. I read that book multiple times, and I said, I now have a better understanding of how money works, and now I understand how I need to become what freedom is like, right? And that's where we learned about the difference between linear, passive, and residual income, because there's 3 types of money.
Can you say that again? You gotta slow, because for the people like me, I know there's people like me out there. Sure. So when you say stuff, I no longer fear being ignorant. Being ignorant is not asking the questions that you don't know the answers to. So when I don't understand something, I be like, hold on, you got to slow that down for me, because I'm here to learn, and I got to be able to process it in my brain. Sure. Not work slower than other people, it just works different.
I love it. That's what it's all about. I mean, and that's
so linear, what was the three?
So you have linear, passive, and residual income. Linear is 9 to 5 money. When you stop working, the money stops coming.
Right.
Whether you're a lawyer or a doctor, if you work per hour, it doesn't matter if you make $200.
It's like being a stripper. If you don't go to work and put the shoes on, you don't make the money, honey.
This is
before OnlyFans, though.
So it's very difficult to get wealthy that way, right? Because your money stops, but bills run all day, every day, right? So you get off work at 5 o'clock. They take 30% of your money in taxes. So you're really working from 9 to 2. But what happens at 5:01? There's a light bill, there's a gas bill. Everything else runs 24 hours a day. Interest, car notes. So your money should run 24 hours a day, not from 8 to 5. So when I understood these concepts, right, and I understood passive income is really doing no work but making money, right? That'd be real estate is passive income, right? Residual income is, let's say,
in your sleep.
In your sleep, mailbox money. Residual income is do something once and continue to get paid.
That's what I'm trying to get to. It's called work smarter, not harder.
And it's called, a keyword is called leverage.
Because people look at you funny when you I do not like working hard. And then I get scrutinized because it sounds nasty. It sounds disgusting, right? Like, how dare you say that you don't want to work hard? But the people who are rich and wealthy and living financially free, they didn't really work the hardest. They just worked smarter than everybody else around them.
They worked hard to put vehicles and systems in place that bring them money, as opposed to being the vehicle that gets the money, right? So a subscription, if somebody signs up for something and it says subscription, you did the work once, but they keep paying you money, that's a sign of residual income, right? T-Mobile signs you up once, but you keep paying that bill every month, whether you make a phone call or not, residual income. So what wealthy people understood is how to take their linear income and turn it into passive and residual income.
So you talked about the three layers when it comes to money: lineage, passive, and residual. You have the shirt on that says "Impress your banker, not your boys."
Impress your banker, not your boys. This is good for us in the inner city.
Which group of income or money does that one represent?
Yeah, so you think about it. When you spend money, right, every time you spend $1, you really make a decision to be richer or poorer, right? Whether it's to buy shoes or sneakers, whatever it is. And with our people, we like to look good, but are you really impressing your banker? So the mindset I had was like, what would my banker say about this purchase? What would my banker say about this move, right? Because you just can't have a $500 bag and have $5 in the bank. The banker's gonna be doing it though. They do. He's like, that's not a good move right now. So the key to it is that, we grew up in the inner city. We want to be, where I grew up, we used to go, and I'm a little older, Delancey Street. We want to look fresh the first day of school. We got to go to the club. We got to do these different things. But at the end of the day, is what would my banker say about that decision, right? That car note, that whatever it is, that whatever we're trying to buy that we really can't afford because we're worried about what other people think, and we're trying to impress them. But the person we really should be impressing is the banker.
See, I'm just getting a hold of what would Jesus do and what would God do, and cool. Now you want me to add to that list. What would my banker do?
Well, Jesus don't want you to be broke, right?
Right.
So, you got to throw the banker in there too.
Right. Okay. So let's get into it. Let's break down the 8 pillars.
Okay.
Let's start with personal credit. I know a lot of people out there, they got the bad credit. They can't do nothing. They can't buy a car. They can't get an apartment. First and foremost, I'm going to say I've been that person. I can't get an apartment. I can't get a car. I can't do anything. And I'm distressed for money. So I don't have no support. The support is the good credit because you can go to people and ask for, before we do this, let's break down what credit is, right? And I really had to pull up the definition and learn what it meant because somebody told me it's important to know what words mean. Right? And credit is somebody giving you goods and services in exchange for you being trustworthy that you are going to provide what they're expecting from you in return. Just off of what you say.
The definition.
That's the definition, right? Okay.
And there's
so
different types of credit, Even on the street, somebody gives you credit.
Right.
I'm gonna give you this. Go sell it. Make it happen. If you pay me, now we got good credit.
So, building personal credit, just to start it off, starts with having good character, because you have to be able to not be able to pay all this money back, like you said, but be able to stay within good standing.
Correct.
So let's talk about personal credit. Why is it important? And how does it bring leverage to your life, like assets and funding?
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to segue to this gentleman right here because for the past 13 years, Credit Concepts has been a phenomenal asset.
Shout out to Credit Concepts. That's right there on the bottom of the screen. You see it?
18
right there.
years, you know, when he got the cheat code from the gentleman, they explained what credit was all about. Because so often our family members don't know what it is, right? It would be great if my dad sat down and said, let me show you what a credit report is.
I wish.
Right? And say, here's what it means. Here's the good, bad, the indifferent. That's a lesson that we typically don't get, even at home. So this gentleman right here for 18 years has run a very successful operation with actually brick and mortar offices, right? Recognized by the Better Business Bureau, an agreement with Equifax, one of the only credit bureaus or companies that has an agreement with one of the actual credit bureaus, right? And what he's done in the school system, the Department of Education, teaching them from a financial perspective in the schools. So for 18 years, and not only helping people in the inner city, what he's done on Wall Street from helping, us, inner city and also multimillionaires from a credit perspective. I'm gonna let him answer that, but I wanted to give him his just due because he does
his flowers
in the community. Exactly,
he's giving you your flowers.
Without question.
Yeah. I mean, it's surprising how in 2024 the credit conversation is still at the forefront, and how we're not taking advantage of it. And I think the hardest part was understanding how powerful it is, but understanding how easy you could recover. Because I think, for me, the only reason why it makes sense, how so many of us are uneducated when it comes to financial literacy and especially credit, because it provides, credit in itself should be its own curriculum. But because of how the power that it possesses and
they don't want us to have that. They send us to school to learn how to be employees, not bosses.
Oh, hands down, but
and in some sense, you do need that. You do need to work a 9 to 5. We talked about that earlier, but
and it should be stepping stone. I mean, it always should be a bigger goal at the end. I think the government gives everyone an access to purchase that EIN number, which is that second alternative social, and to not take advantage of it. Most definitely do the 9 to 5, have that protection, have that guaranteed income, but to not have an additional stream of revenue in creating a business in some form, I think you're definitely doing yourself a disservice. But credit, once you realize how powerful it is, it can just open up. It's the foundation for me, and this is what I teach our students. It's the foundation of wealth, because it's one of the only industries where you may not have any money in that bank account, but if you leverage those 3 numbers, you can leverage hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Have you seen the trend going around about Rockefeller and how his empire was built and who they were and how they made generational wealth with insurance and trust funds?
Not only did they pioneer some of the methods, they really understood the model. And I think if we ever do, we're going to be an unstoppable, force as a culture. And it's the tide is shifting. We're getting there. 24 states now have mandated financial literacy in our school system.
Love that.
So it's coming. It's undeniable, but it's not moving fast enough because we look at credit reports every day, hundreds sometimes, and the amount of the lack of power that people's credit possess, we still have a long way to go.
So when it comes down to it, our money is finite, right? It's limited. The bank's money is infinite, right? It goes on forever. Most of the things you want in life, you need OPM, which is
other people's money.
Which is a wealth principle, right? So other people's money, other people's time, other people's ideas, other people's energy. All of those things are wealth principle. So the bottom line is the only way, like he talked about with that property, how do I unlock other people's money legitimately, is I have to have decent credit. So credit is truly leverage. And it's really, personal credit is really the kindergarten of understanding money management skills. I borrow, I pay back. I borrow, I pay back. That's just the kindergarten of it. At the end of the day, there's so many other levels of leveraging credit.
Can I say one of the other levels that I feel like are very important? Relationships.
Okay.
So when building relationships, I feel like are very, very important when you're building credit, because I just recently learned, like, even with the lowest of scores, right? If you don't have a good relationship, good people skills, people don't want to give you things. They don't want to help you. They don't want to. Why? Why would I? Why? Right? And so I watch. If you think about Shark Tank, these people go on there with really no credibility, no numbers in sales, no. He doesn't even know if she has good credit or not. But if you can make me feel good, because this is why people do things, a lot of the things we do, this is why we probably get in these bad situations, because we're impulse buyers. We're doing things off of emotion. And so I think part of building personal credit is having personal relationships too, where you can now leverage as well with the credit and say, hey, but I'm a good person. You already see, like, I have a good track record with you. So even if this is the first of many that you do this for, come on, let me.
Yeah.
I think when you especially when you're dealing, with investors and people that may believe in your vision and believe in your goal, because you have two levels of raising capital. You can institutions.
Oh my God, I was on my list. Are you looking at my cue cards?
Institutions don't care, and they don't. Your race isn't on your credit report. These institutions don't care.
It's not?
No, these institutions don't care. Who you are, where you come from. If that number is high enough, they want to do business with you. And when you're dealing with individuals, it's character based. It's how well you believe in yourself. It's how far you're willing to invest in you. And you always have you to rely on when you have good credit. You can get the capital you need to advance and to grow your vision. But OPM, have people believing in you and taking that leap together with the team is always a good, and that's the surrounding structure that's also.
Well, I believe in you. That's why you're here today. Hello. I'm going to take a break real quick. We'll be right back, guys. Okay, so we talked about personal credit and obviously how important it is and why we need it. And obviously, I think we briefed on how much leverage it can give you if you do it correctly. If you had to give like 5 steps to build and maintain your credit, your personal credit, what would they be? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Well, if I have to categorize them, first, knowing. Get the right monitoring system.
Knowing.
Credit Karma, I mean, when things are free, we kind of gravitate to it, but free doesn't always mean accurate. Mm-hmm. So get a legitimate credit monitoring site. And you can find that monitoring site at the link, during the show. Once you identify what the issues are, by pulling up the report, you want to address everything that's derogatory. Anything that you have that's in collection, that's in charge-off, write-off, if it's not positive, address it. And there's only 2 ways to do it. You address it by either resolving it and paying it, and if it's already negative, understand that they will take pennies to the dollar for that debt. Don't assume that because it's delinquent, you have to pay the full amount. As long as it's resolved, take the cheaper option by settling the debt. Once it's settled and resolved, now you want to build.
3.
Build 3. You want to build it. You want to make sure, and if you don't have any credit, because the catch-22 in the credit industry is.
And how do you build that in a synopsis? Like,
the catch-22 in the credit industry is that when you have no credit, you deny me for credit. So how will you expect me to obtain it? It's just like, you're putting me in a lose-lose. So, and that's why support systems are good. Be added to somebody's credit profile.
Get you a financial advisor. I mean, Quincy busy with me and, whatever, but get you somebody like him, Mr. Broome. You are, yes. Okay, yes, he's available too. We'll have all the ads and everything for you, but, having the support to say, okay, I need to build credit, that's 3. Okay, what about 4?
4, securing your accounts. If no one will support you, because be self-reliant. If you can't get any authorized users to help somebody boost you up, then pay for them. Get you a secured card, get you some seasoned trade lines, add those to your credit report, and then start applying for small accounts. And then 5, just be consistent.
5,
that's
be
what credit
consistent.
is. It's all about consistency. Payment history makes up 35% of your credit report. They want to see that you're paying your bills on time.
Yeah.
Even if you're struggling, just pay them every month until you figure it out.
And I know you guys may not be able to process all of this, but I like to give y'all little gems and a little synopsis to 1, 2, 3. We love the 5 steps because we go take those and we sit and say, okay, how do we expand on this knowledge that we're getting right now? Because I know I'm not gonna be able to say, okay, here's the 5 steps, let me go do this. We're gonna run into some bumps, but that's why Quincy is here. That's why Credit Concepts is here, because they'll show you how to take those 5 steps that you just heard today and say, okay, I got all of those. I'm trying to do those. How do I get to the next level? And that's what they're here to help us more understand. What about
Can I add a 5A and B?
Dang it, that's a lot to. Okay, go ahead. 5A and B.
5A and B. So the bottom line, he talked about also many people we pay rent. Think about adding rent because we want to build a healthy report. A lot of people pay things, but it's not on their credit report.
Yes, so I've heard about that. That's the new joint. It's all over TikTok. You ain't know?
That's what I'm saying.
It's all over TikTok.
5A is valuable. Right?
Getting with units and getting with apartment complexes that you just speak to your management or your leasing office and you tell them, I know about it. And you tell them, say, listen, hey, I'm trying to build my credit. And they love a story. They love a good testimonial. And I'm trying to build my credit. This is how you build personal relationships. And you let them know what's going on. And will really help me if you can report do you have this? Do you offer this here? And 9 times out of 10, we're in 2024. Everybody's getting it. And if they're not too far behind. So make sure you guys check in with your local management and where you're living at and say, hey, if it's not being already, that it's reported. Because that's going to help you build without having to go borrow from somebody or get somebody to help you that's a great way to start.
And it helps you qualify for a house. We pay rent in New York more than a car note, right? So you're paying $1,500, $1,700, $2,000 a month in rent for the last 2 or 3 years. Why are you not getting credit for that?
Give me all my coin.
You need all of that.
And they let you backdate like 6 months, I think.
Sometimes you can backdate up to 5 years.
5 years, yeah. If you was paying, so pay your rent on time. This is for the folks that pay their rent on time.
Yeah. And my last thing is just be disciplined. Once you understand what a credit report is, I'm not going to say you kind of reverse engineer things, but now you know where you're going. Most people who are on their credit, they know they want to achieve something.
Yeah.
Right? So now they're being proactive. So just be disciplined in what you want to do. If you want that house, you want that car, whatever it is, you start making purchases differently when you're conscious about your credit. And people running your credit, when you are conscious about it, when you don't care about it, doesn't matter. But like yours, you work very hard, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Now something is precious, like a car. You're very protective of it at this point.
Oh yeah. I don't play.
Right.
Real quick, when I found Quincy, when we found each other, it was beautiful. And I was dancing in the strip club, and I knew I didn't want to be there for long, and I was like, what can I do to not be in here? I don't want to be in here, but I'm making this kind of money. And he's like, well, let's start figuring out where we can put that and invest that money so it can make you some money. And I might not have followed up right away, like, because we're like, all right, I'll come back when I'm ready. Like, it's like, give your life to God today. It's like, I might not be ready. I'm gonna come back to church on Sunday though. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing. And I sat with it and I was like, okay. And I talked to my fiance and I was like, he wasn't my fiance at the time, but, and I was just like, yo, I want to buy houses and cars and I want to live this lifestyle and I want to be able to leave something for when I do decide to have children and, retire my mom. And she's great at certain things. So maybe have her come work for me and run something over here, get into some real estate. I got a lot of plans. I got a lot of big dreams. You know what I'm saying? Run some businesses, a couple of great ideas, lucrative things. How do I monetize? Because you said that earlier. Monetize all of this, turn it into something. And Quincy was like, whoa. You got a lot going on. You got a lot going on, but it's good. Let's just figure out how we can do this. And let's just start with the investment. I'm not going to tell you what I invested, but just understand that you have to invest. And so I invested in my personal and I invested in my credit because I didn't have the support of people who trusted me with lending me money and to help me get started with what I wanted to do. So he kind of put me in the understanding of, okay, like, well, we're going to start here. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not gonna happen in 2 days, 2 months, maybe not 6 months. But I promise you, we're gonna start kicking down the doors of things that you want to get done. If you just trust me, take this leap of faith. I'm like, this is a big leap of faith. When I saw the invoice, I'm like, shit, but you can't be scared. You got to spend money to make money, right? But and that goes by how much you have to need to be done and what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. So definitely don't get scared. I'm just playing with you guys. It just depends on what you want to do and where you're trying to go. I'm a big dog, so I got to talk that big talk and walk them big shoes if I'm trying to do that, right? So long story short, I said, I want cars. I said, I'm going to tell y'all the truth of what I said. I said, I want cars. And then, I want to do my hairline, but I want to get some kid credit because I want to use my kid credits to get my hairline. And then I want to do this. And then I want to get a house. And then after that, I want to buy some units. And I want to da-da-da. Well, I've checked off, not to have y'all all in my business, but, y'all see what's going on. And I've knocked down maybe 2 or 3 of those things on that list already. And I just I'm here today just because I want to share this with the people because it's gold.
Right.
It's gold. I'm getting chills talking about it because it's what do you want to do with the rest of your life? More risk than reward. I've risked it a lot being in the strip club. I risked a lot hanging around a certain crowd of people. I risked a lot spending my last. I've risked a lot working for a job and getting nowhere. Building somebody else's dreams, putting a lot into their, you know what I mean? Or giving somebody an idea because I'm too scared to take the risk to execute it myself, to do the work and be consistent. So it's hard. I fall off the bridge because we lose contact sometimes, but I check. That's one man. I check in on him. I be like, what's up? He don't answer. I'm calling all 17 phone numbers. I'm like, I'm at your door. We got to get this right because I got goals. How are we going to get there? So,
and that's the difference. And that's why I commend you. And I'm so proud of you because when you came with these ideas that you knew what you wanted to do, I immediately saw determination. And I knew that you can do it. And I knew that you will eventually check off all of those boxes. And the fact that you're so unapologetic about your journey is what people are going to relate to, because no matter what walk of life you come from, no matter, what your background is, once you make that switch to say, I want better for me, and then have somebody, because, you can get pointed in the right direction. You can have the blueprint written for you. But if you don't have that self-determination, that motivation, and you had it, and I'm not shocked that so many big things that have come for you.
Wow. Period. Business credit. Y'all be all in somebody else's business and not worry about your business, your blood clot business. Worry about everybody else's business but your business and the good credit that you're supposed to have with other people. I want to get into, we're in the age of entrepreneurship. Everybody is a boss. At least they acting like one. They talking like one. They done seen a couple podcasts, no point intended. And now they think they know everything. Yeah, now you're a guru. And I don't think I'm the guru, but I brings the gurus. I'm not the shooter, but I know the ones with the, you understand what I'm saying? Business credit is super important. I think the obvious is the obvious of why business credit is so important. But let's talk about why? Why do we need business credit as much as we need personal credit? Why is it important? Because I know I want to get my personal right because I want to buy a house, I want to get my car, my name, which I have. But, these are things that you want in your I want to be able to get an apartment and all this stuff. But you could do this stuff with your business credit, too.
Right.
Talk about it.
So the government gives out 9-digit numbers, Social Security number and an EIN number. Typically, we don't pay for those. Right? The EIN number, which is what we call a tax ID number, in business is more valuable than a Social Security number. Because you're in business, corporations, when they sell, that's what they sell. They don't sell people, right? So most of us who have a business, not anymore. We don't sell people anymore, right?
No, they do. They do. I follow this page on Instagram. It's called Human Trafficking.
Exactly.
They're definitely selling people.
So you're right about that.
Be aware.
Be aware, right? So at the end of the day, when you're in business, right, and the lender looks at you, they say, okay, well, I understand what you did from a social security perspective, but what is your business borrowed and paid back? Because you want a business loan. And just like personal credit, if I don't see anything under your business, it's automatically a red flag. There is no track record after 5 or 10 years in business that this person's business has borrowed and paid anything back. So the key to it is that you really want to control, and most corporations have multiple EINs. They build out the credit of multiple businesses because now it's a leverage, right? So I'm going to let him piggyback, but the bottom line is you want to leverage 2 9-digit numbers. You want to leverage your social, and you want to leverage your EIN.
Yeah, and tax identification.
Under both of them, right? So I think it's like in the world of business, it's like swinging a baseball bat with one hand if you're only using your social, right? It's like doing a push-up with one hand. Most businesses that are successful, they're doing 2-handed push-ups. They're swinging the bat with both hands. They're using their social and their EIN to leverage to get
Most
money.
people ain't AI. They got to go to practice.
They got to go to practice.
They got to go to practice.
So he's put together a phenomenal program, and you see some things on YouTube as well. But if you're in business in the EIN, you want to eventually, leverage and use the EIN and move some of that debt off your personal onto your business. Your personal Social Security number was never meant to run a business. It was meant for 2 credit cards, a car note, and a mortgage. Not maxing out credit cards, not getting a bunch of inquiries, looking for loans. Your Social Security number, the algorithm for your credit score was never built or intended to run a business. That's why business credit is so important. So if you're out there running a business and you got to buy stuff and max out your credit cards and hopefully you can pay it back and then use it, was it meant to use that? That's not what it's for. It's meant for a vacation or a trip. That's why business credit is so important. But he's got the blueprint to build
and
that.
better they guys, like, because you do need to build your business, your personal, simultaneously if you can.
Correct.
If you can't, then build the personal first and then work on your business, because having your personal built, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, will substantially help you build your business a lot faster and easier, because ultimately they're going to check both, right?
Almost 90% of business owners don't build out their tax ID. Self-preservation is always key. Get you in best position first or simultaneously, but to not build out your business credit profile, you're just doing yourself a disservice, especially if you're getting to be in business.
Yeah.
There's a saying, personal and business don't mix, and it's not that your personal can't help leverage your business, and you may need to do that starting off, and that's fine. But eventually, you want to get your business in position where you're never putting your Social Security number down for anything business related, where your tax ID is strong enough and your score is strong enough to withhold any approval that you may need, because you don't want to max out debt on the personal to leverage your business, because you're left holding the bag. When you look at the percentage of businesses that fail, that's your indicator to not put yourself too deep into the hole when building a business. Bite the bullet, take the time, and do it the right way. There's so many fast fix ways that you think you can build business credit. Something as powerful as what a business credit profile can do is not going to be built efficiently overnight. You're going to have a 4 to 6 month time frame where you're strictly focused on making those right business decisions strategically, because no one knows who you are when you're just starting out your business that haven't been. You got to accept the U-lines, the Grangers, the small approvals that are going to put you in position and show how consistent you are in paying something back. Build that trust.
And U-lines and all those things he's saying are like subscription kind of based situations where people just see you auto paying and continuously buying inventory of certain things and paying it back. It's just taking the Ferrari on a test drive. Not a Ferrari, more like a Honda. But You know what I'm saying? It's still a car, and everybody doesn't have to aspire so big. Like, I aspire big. Like, when I went to go get a car, it was like, you're going to have to start with a Honda. You're going to have to start with, I'm like, it was like, yeah, but don't worry. 6 months, a year, you'll be able to do it. And I was like, I don't even want to drive. I told Quincy, I don't even want to drive if I can't come outside and what I want to come outside in. So I'm just going to wait. I'll keep Ubering, and this is what we're going to do until I can get what I want. And then I called Quincy. I just sent him a picture, and I said, yeah, look what I just walked off the, no, I was like, call me when the credit is ready. It was like a cake baking. I was like, call me when it's ready. He's like, go relax. Call every 2 weeks. I said, okay, I'm gonna give him a break. I'm gonna wait like 3 weeks and then hit him. And then finally he was just like, he said, the cake is ready. I said, it's for real? I said, hold on, let me make a phone call. I made a phone. I said, oh, you was not playing. I'm gonna get my car tomorrow. They just approved me. And then I just recently called him again and I said, I know I didn't tell you about this one, but I went and got another car. He's like, okay. I was like, yeah, I figured it out. You know, you took the training wheels off. I'm going. Now help me maintain it because I think I ain't got it. I'm about to say I think I got it, but I ain't got it. I got this far. Now you got to help me keep. Now what's next? Right.
I get it.
So we building this personal. I'm sure we're about to jump into the business, and I'm excited for that because I have so many great ideas that need funding. And in the meantime, don't get lazy. Crowdfunding is definitely amazing because it also is like, it still goes on your resume of how much your business is worth. So don't X that out of raising money for your business if you can't get the credit, you can't get the loan, you can't get because let me tell you this, if you could show people that you could raise 100,000 or $1 million for a business they know nothing about, have no proof and numbers about and everything, and you take that to a bank, a loan officer, or a credit bureau, whoever, I promise you they'll give you the money.
Yeah, proof is in the pudding, right?
I promise you. So there's ways you gotta get. Everybody's not as creative as me, especially when I start learning. Now I gotta learn my way. Now let me learn all 5 languages now so I could tap dance around. You understand? Let me learn it in 5 languages. Like that's just. I love this. Math was one of my favorite subjects in school.
Well, you love to learn.
Yeah.
You ask questions.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So let's get into how businesses in our time in 2024, we love social media, we love TikTok, we love Facebook, we love all these social medias. There's so many I can keep going. Bingo, everything. Businesses have boomed tremendously in the last few years due to social media.
Without question.
How important is social media? I mean, I know. We all know, but I want you to tell the people because they want to hear it from the guru, not from me. Can you get into how imperative social media is to growing a business and where we are right now in the world?
Yeah. So even us, we're learning because it's always changing, right? Especially with artificial intelligence and the way that people are approaching things. But the bottom line is that, people aren't necessarily running ads in newspapers anymore. Maybe not doing billboards or radio as much. So we all need exposure. You need leads at this point in time. And people resonate a little bit differently. They want to not just buy what they might see. They're buying the person to a certain extent, right? They're going to tune into this podcast because of you and your personality. And I think that social media, it just connects people with that individual who's that influencer, with that company in some way, shape, or form. So you mentioned all these different platforms. And we're fighting for attention. They say everybody's on the phone at least 4 hours of the day on their phone, and there's so many notifications and there's so many different things that we're vying for that attention within a very small window of time. That social media, to attract those individuals, you just have to be very, very good at it, have the right team, the right tools, the right offers, and now you have the right funnel systems that when someone clicks on it, what are the next steps in the progression that's going to lead to a sale? So just being out in front of people, and the content is always changing. How creative it is. You guys have a phenomenal set right here as well.
Thank you.
How professional it looks. So if you want to compete, because we're in a very crowded marketplace, social media, understanding, and there's so many different facets of it, it's just highly important that we get good at it.
Well, it depends on what you are looking for from an investor. When you're raising capital, you're either going to raise it on your own, which is leveraging your resources, the shoebox, your credit, your business credit, all of your means to, if no one else said yes, how could you get this vision started? So that's one way. And then the other way is raising it, going after, investors, crowdfunding. There's a lot of various ways to do it, but typically it's going to boil down to that too. Either you're going to have someone believe in you that's going to cut you a check, or you're going to raise it on your own using your resources. And I think that's something that has to be done kind of simultaneously. It depends on how well, because from an investor standpoint, a savvy one is going to know if this is worth their investment. So, and it's not all about, because you can have your strategy and raise it, but what's your strategy into paying it back?
Right.
What's your strategy into making sure that your investor receives an ROI?
Return on investment, guys.
And that's the part you have to be as aggressive in showing when you're in that capital raising, phase, because the defaults are high. And it's showing that, even with the SBA during COVID, that was the softest money I've seen given out in a long time, meaning in terms, meaning in interest rates.
I didn't know you did. I wish we knew him then, because we didn't get really none of that money.
Meaning in the time frame that they asked even for you to start paying it back. And look at how the default rate is in that. So that and it's showing no matter how I give it to you.
Some of that money still left, Quincy?
No. Let's go. No matter how much, we need, these investments to start, it's all about having that blueprint to making sure we're not blowing it, making sure we're budgeting, making sure we're disciplined, making sure that we are putting our plan in place in all areas that's going to make sure that, we win. There's many ways you can raise it, but just as equally, you have to make sure that you're in a position and you have that blueprint and strategy to pay it back.
And know your numbers, right? I think you hit something earlier like Shark Tank. So I hang out with my mom. She loves Shark Tank. We sit there. Should we take the deal? Should we not take the deal? But they're going to ask the same questions all the time. How much money do you invest? How much it cost you to make it? What are you selling it for?
Right. What are your margins?
Yeah. What are your margins? Yeah. They ask the same questions to everybody. So it's important that, he knows, I know you're going to get to the point where people come to you and say, listen, I want to borrow some money because I have an idea.
Yeah.
But typically they don't understand their numbers, right?
No.
It's an idea, but that's all it is.
Taxes, the tax guy. We've all seen our favorite celebrities go to jail, tax invasion. Cat Williams, he keeps coming up somewhere. Everybody's getting attacked, not paying their tax. I never understood it when these rich folk, I call them rich folk, the cops is looking for y'all. Y'all living in these $1 million houses on everything on display, buying all these expensive things, buying all these cars. I don't know if they're leased, they're bought, they're what. I don't know what's going on because we don't really know. We're not in there. We just see money getting spent fast. Luxurious things, and that's what we want to attain. I want y'all to stop that mentality and stop wanting to attain the lavish things. God says, don't worry about looking rich, actually be rich. So I'm in 2024, I still like to look fly, but we got that New York swag. We can wear whatever we want and still look good and look expensive. And you're like, who that? It's it's me. It's nobody else. It's just me. So why is this happening to celebrities? What are they doing? And I don't want to. Quincy, because I'm going to be a millionaire before the end of the year. I don't know how we're doing it, but I'm working hard and we're going to figure it out. But once I start making them that big money, how do I not get caught up in the shenanigans of these things?
Well, number one is find the right tax accountant. And that's what, the tax preparer is probably the one of the most vital roles that you can put someone in.
The tax preparer.
Exactly. Because as you said, we see the stories, and it's one of those things that you don't want to play with. You're not gonna, battle with your doctor on a diagnosis if if this is what he says you kind of need to do. And when it comes to the right tax preparer, that's not a field that most people are educated in. It's intimidating. The IRS has always instilled some type of fear, either indirectly, in all of us.
Quincy, there's those people, if you tell them, yo, you got cancer, they'll go home and still smoke a pack of cigarettes. They be, or you could get cancer. They be like, oh, it's never going to happen to me. Is that what's happening with these people with the taxes? It won't happen to me because I'm just throwing it in. I'm Oprah. It ain't coming for me.
And it's the delayedness that can kind of throw you off. The IRS, they don't move quick, They'll sit on you for years, even decades, So it's one of those things that, you just have to have the right person in position. You got to know what field you need to put the most qualified people in, because we're not all, in the best position tax-wise.
Yeah.
Just because we don't have those, mentors.
Yeah, you got to have the right people around you. And eventually you have a tax preparer and then maybe even a CPA. And
CPA, what is that? Break it down. Certified personal accountant?
Public accountant.
Okay, I said public accountant. Okay.
Yeah, you're there. So there's different levels to it. But like you said, many times we just live in life. And most people think that when they come, I'll just pay them. Right? I'm going to have it. I'll just pay him when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it doesn't work that way, right? So Uncle Sam gets his due. You're making money and you get that 1099 and you get it. They reporting that to Uncle Sam. right? And they give you a couple years. Now, you can negotiate with them if you get caught. You just have to know how to maneuver when it's all said and done. So from a tax perspective, it's important and it's done right, because obviously when it goes down to getting funding and getting loans, the way that that's structured as well, most time they're going to do a 4506. They want to pull your tax returns. And a lot of times, I understand it, we understand it, when you're growing a business, it's very difficult to get your money and give a third to the government, because now you're trying to reinvest
not a
in
third.
your business. Yeah, again, it could be more.
Right.
But
depending on how rich you are, is it so? So the more richer, the more money you got, the more problems, the more taxes.
With the right accountant, it can be or cannot be, right? Some people have a different level of skill on how to maneuver money, right? How to place money, investments that you should be involved in, way to write certain things off, right? So the people that have a lot of, like, the Apples and the Googles of the world, they pay the least amount in taxes, because they have the right people to know how to shelter their money. So sometimes we don't have those people, your tax shelters, right? And there's so many different products that you could put your money. You talked about insurance earlier. There's so many different ways to move your money, but you have to have intelligent people that understand that, because we talked about real quick the 8 pillars. Every pillar is a different language. And most of us, we speak English. We don't speak credit. We don't speak legal. We don't speak taxes. The tax books are like this. So you really got to find, as in people, you have to invest sometimes in the right people that are going to guide your steps, right? So sometimes it's not an H&R Block. You might have to have somebody who really understands, not somebody who's hired doing it part-time.
Right.
So we have to learn to invest in our professionals. That's what I'm trying to say.
And realize that there are certain doors and levels that you can't get to without those tax files.
That's right.
Prepared and ready to go, So when you're talking about buying homes, when you're talking about investing in businesses and expanding, you're going to get to a position where you're going to need money, and those tax returns will be requested. So at minimum, always keep those last 2 years on deck, ready to go, especially if you're thinking about growing and obtaining some type of asset.
Personal and business.
Personal and
balance
business.
sheets, profit and loss statements, debt schedules. It's just not a tax return at the end of the day. There's a lot that goes involved with it. So you have to invest in the right people.
How does the role of taxes relate in when it comes to entrepreneurship and business? Like,
It's huge.
Yeah, it plays a huge part, because, again, the level of growth that you need. Business, they're going to give you your growth time. First 2 to 3 years, they're not expecting you to really be too profitable. They're expecting you to kind of be in the red, have a lot of expenses. You're just starting out. You're in that spending phase to get to that next level. But after a certain point, understanding, because depending on what type of business you are, you're going to have to bring your personal filing into play. Depending on how you file, whether you're a C Corp, an S Corp, an LLC, a single member. So, combined tax-wise, and especially if you're a business owner, those things go hand in hand, and you have to be prepared yearly to make sure that your personal and business.
That sounds like a lot of responsibility. How does a person like I or them minimize their liability?
Well, the first thing you want to do is make your tax accountant life easy. And especially if you're in business.
How do you do that?
Understanding your expenses and tracking your money. If you're in business, don't spend.
Tell the people that I'm listening. I got your number. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you want them to have your phone number because you won't sleep.
No, just spending frivolously personally out of your business expense account. Going to the strip club, buying bottles out of your business account. Tell them. What you said, buying bottles,
popping bottles, buying her Chanel bag, and
and at the end of the year, these expenses have to be calculated, and it's hard when they're shifting through pages of bank statements and spending that have nothing to do on how you're growing your business. That term,
it ain't tricking if you got it. Is a real term, because if you ain't got it, you ain't got it.
And there's so many basic softwares and applications that are out there that help integrate your bank accounts, that make it easier, separating your business and personal expenses. There's no excuse now. The technology.
You can't have one bank account for everything. You need multiple bank accounts for different things, and that's just what it is. You guys gotta. this word. I know it's at the end, but I like to use it now because I went to church on Sunday, and it's called putting the boots to the road, and in that it's called call to action. And it's so crazy because I'm reading your notes and then I see call to action, right? And basically it's about now putting into action everything that you talked about. It's no longer good enough to just send that text message and say, I hope all is well. You got to go to that person's house, knock on the door, and actually physically check on them. The same thing with an idea. It's like it's one thing you got it on paper, that's dope. It's another thing you got it in all these different color magic markers on the wall and this beautiful vision board. But if you are not picking that vision board apart and actually saying, okay, I want to do this, let me go start finding this, and actually calling it to action, like it's just not going to happen. So with credit, with personal credit, with business credit, with just upgrading your life, right? I just love that saying, just upgrade your life. Stop living the life that you don't want to live. That's just my motto at this point in 2024. Stop living the life that you don't want to live anymore and start living your life the way that you really want to live. You know what I mean? I don't want to fake it till I make it no more. I don't want to keep up with the Joneses. I want to be the Joneses. And I want to stay in that high rise. I don't know how the song goes. I'll figure it out. But I want to be in an apartment in the sky. Oh, that's the Jeffersons. I want to be like the Jeffersons. I don't know who the Joneses is, but I want to be like the Jeffersons.
You want to be like Jeffersons. You
don't
want to be good
Jeffersons
times.
are the original Joneses.
Those are the original.
Like
okay,
Florida
see, it's out of my. But yeah, so just recently, I didn't even know that you did this, but we're gonna have to talk after this because health insurance. Ladies, I don't know if y'all going to the doctor. Gentlemen, I don't know if y'all going to the doctor. You're getting checked out. You can't run to what's this new thing I see everywhere? Emergency.
Urgent care.
You can't run to urgent care for everything, and you can't go to the ER for everything. You need a primary physician. You need to go get checkups. You need to go do these things. You need proper health care for yourself, and not only health care, because I want to tie them in because I think they deserve to be brother and sister. Health insurance and life insurance, I think it should be sold as a bundle. Can you tell us the importance of having, besides the obvious, of having health insurance and having life insurance?
So, the most important thing, we all want to earn money. Right.
And this is Mr. Jeffrey Broome, by the way. He's been doing such a lovely job in our couch.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, we've all been digging in, right? So, we talked about, just to recap, the 8 pillars of entrepreneurism. And we believe as a business owner, when one of these pillars are faulty and not functioning properly, then the business can actually suffer. So we want to build them all up at the same time if we possibly can, or over a period of time. So
break down the 8 right quick.
Yeah, so the 8 pillars are personal credit, business credit, social media, taxes, those are 4, health insurance, life insurance, legal advice, and access to capital. Every business that you have, in some way, shape, or form, needs to address these in their business life and doing it properly. Otherwise, you'll never grow to a large corporation. So when it comes down to health insurance, right? I mean, obviously, the most important thing is that we just can't earn if we're not present. So having the appropriate health insurance is absolutely key.
How do I get that? What if I don't have a job? What if I don't work? What if I don't?
Right. So there are different plans. Like we offer in our company, right? The USBA, which stands for the United Small Business Alliance. We offer what they call minimal essential coverage plans, that you don't need a social security number. You don't have to have a job. There's no credit check. There's nothing of that nature. And the plan start at like $50, $60, $70 a month for an individual. Because you have to be able to go to the doctor, right? Especially like...
How many places take that?
Yeah, it's numerous. It's thousands of doctors that, without coverage, that will take that all around the country, right? So we've kind of put ourselves into a network, right? So which is
what is it called?
So it's through our company. It's called a minimal essential coverage plan.
Minimum essential coverage plan.
It's called a
minimal essential coverage plan. Okay.
So it's a
.com?
Well, no. So that's just the name of the plan.
Oh, okay.
But they come to us. We can help them.
Credit Concepts.
USBA.
United
Small Business Alliance.
Is that Is that the website?
Yeah, it's www.theusba.com.
USBA.com.
It's a company that Quincy and I own ourselves. So all the business credit and personal credit through the USBA, and we offer obviously discounts and stuff. He handles all of that. And we're licensed government contractors. That's where we do our health and life insurance through the USBA. So when you join that, we help a person with all the 8 pillars. But the great thing about that, the leaders and individuals who foster those different disciplines all talk to each other. So the credit guy is going to talk to the mortgage guy if you're trying to buy a house, because the two of them, and you said they're bundled, they're intertwined. The health insurance and life insurance will go through the same individuals, right? The social media guy might need to talk to somebody else in the business to find out, okay, well, what are we really trying to accomplish? And maybe talk to the funding person. So really, when corporate America, all those people are in the room. Marketing, HR, production, manufacturing, they sit all at the board table and say, we're going to launch a new product. What's everyone's feedback on how we can become successful? Because I can't become successful and missing legal. Can we really do this legal? Can we really launch this hairline? Are we infringing on any patents? So the same thing as a business owner, we provide that table. So we have all these different disciplines to help you move forward in life that you might not have as a sole person, as an individual, right? So that's what the USDA is.
I love when I said when I become very wealthy, I'm gonna open up a warehouse, and there's gonna be like different rooms, and they're all gonna be different departments, all obviously working towards growing the brand of Me Holiday. But there'll be a marketing department, there'll be a music department where it's solely focused on that part of my brand. How to enhance it over here, social media department, how can we manufacture, merch, everything's going to be happening under one building, it's going to be a hair salon, it's going to be everything happening in there, photo shoot space, like we can just work and build the business and the brand of what our goal is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the problem with entrepreneurs is because they have to be all of those hats. You have to be legal. You have to be social media.
This is why I say it's important to build a team. So even when you're trying to accomplish what we're talking about, business credit, Quincy's part of my team. Like, he's just as important as the producer who and songwriter who's writing the songs to try to get me a hit. He's just as important as the SEO guy who's helping grow these numbers on your favorite platforms. He's just as important, because without him, it's like, where am I gonna live? How am I gonna? I'm being this superstar, but I can't afford nothing. I'm this superstar, but I can't walk into the store and do this. I can't travel. I'm in debt. I need you to help me unravel some of these things so I can move freely to focus on these other things. You know, that's why they call it financial freedom.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And many people that we see, the facade, the outside always looks great. But, you know, sometimes those pillars are not where it needs to be. And so that's why we try to help, assist, and walk people through it when it's all said and done. So these components, you know, insurance is very important. You know, if people need a quote, we can help them walk through it, find something that's affordable, find out what's in their budget. And it's just a very important factor, like not only for you, but for your family as well. So we have about 85 different carriers that we're appointed with around the country. So when people come in, sometimes people don't address it because people with health and life insurance, you know, it's self-preservation. I don't have money to spend $300-400. I got to address what my problem is today, not spend $400 on something that might happen. But yet still, we need to be prepared for what might happen.
Right.
And that's where health and life insurance is so important. And if a person doesn't have $300-400, we'll come in and say, you're in business. How do we make more money for you? How do we make another $3,000 so you could afford the $300 on the health and or life insurance at the end of the day? Because you're building a business to leave it for the legacy for your family.
Guys, let me tell you something. I'm so glad I created Hot with Holiday, because I have my own place that I can come give information, because people just weren't giving it fast enough for me. And I just want to tell y'all before I say this, like, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you go like, subscribe, comment, share, repost, tell a friend, tell your enemy, because God loves when you love on all his people. That's how you get your blessings. Remember, I said that. But I'm teaching you what it took me 10 years. And when you go get the course that I'm about to give you guys, learning in 10 months. And just investing in yourself, believing in yourself, and just the repetitiveness of everything that we're talking about is just going to be, it's going to be a game changer. I'm all about changing the game. Like, let's find the problem and be the solution. I'm not into being the consistent problem. I'm into finding the solution because I don't want to live like I did last year. Even though last year was kind of good, I know it gets better. Like if you like that flat stomach, you'll enjoy that 4-pack even better. You'll enjoy that 6-pack even better. If you enjoyed Miami, you'll enjoy Puerto Rico and San Tropez.
Right.
So
Indeed.
it just doesn't stop. So let's talk about how life insurance can help them do some of those things and protects your family and protects your business too. This is like an all-in-one, you know?
When we started the USBA, one of the main factors, because we have this thing, and Jeff used to say it a lot, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, we're so underinsured, especially when it comes to life. Our life insurance in certain underserved communities is GoFundMe. And that's what we rely on to bury our loved ones because we're not in a position to get the coverage that we need. And you know, when he started partnering up with our insurance partners, you know, it was essential that life insurance be a part of that conversation, because and with the right type of insurance, you know, we can open up the door to certain types of wealth, especially, you know, if you get the right type of coverage.
Oh, without question, insurance companies are the flat out wealthiest companies in the world, right? You pay them every month. It's the only kind of industry that you pay constantly, but you're scared to call them. You have a car accident, first thing you're like, I gotta call my insurance company. And everybody's negotiating, not trying to call the insurance company,
right.
But you pay them every month, right? Because you have to protect what's important, and what's more important than your life, right? From a protection perspective. So a lot of times our community, sometimes black and brown people, and we've all been in it, we look at insurance as an expense, right? And more importantly, it can
instead
be
of a savior.
A savior and an investment if you get the right policy, right? So you have your term policies, you have your whole life policies, you have your universal life policies, and within those,
you say he just you sound like drill music. You gotta slow that down. Run that back. Run it back. I want to dance with you. I can't get jiggy to that. You gotta slow it down for me. Yeah.
I'm old. So I just see it on the TV, right? On YouTube, But and again, it's a life lesson for all.
What were those? He's still tap dancing. I'm trying to catch up.
So you have your term life policies,
term life,
temporary, your whole life policies that typically go to you expire.
Okay.
And then you have your universal life policies as well.
That keeps rolling even when you're dead and gone.
Absolutely. And if people really understood, these are tremendous tools that you can pay into, you can borrow against, right, at very low interest rates and pay yourself back. They build up tremendous cash
Babe, do we got that?
Yes.
No, he got that on himself. He got that on himself, bro. What about me?
What about me?
You got an insurance policy on me?
Wow. And then, right, because you're in business, right? I bought an assisted living facility in Indianapolis with another individual. We should have insurance policies on each other, right? Mm-hmm. You could have insurance policies on a very important employee if they're the ones that, key man policies, right? There's so many different ways to protect yourself because unforeseen circumstances, they're going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
We just need to be prepared for it and not have to backpedal.
He don't love you, girl, if he don't got an insurance policy on you.
He might love you a lot. $5 million, you might disappear to 2 months.
Oh my God. I'm kidding. We hear those stories though. We hear those stories though, but it be for short paper too. It don't be for nothing long. It be you killed your mom for $20,000 shit. What the hell?
Well, the thing about it, and then he could piggyback, is that when you're in business, you make money as an exchange of goods and services and money, right? So even if it's a verbal contract and you're doing someone's hair or whatever it may be, there's an exchange of money. It's a contract in certain ways, right? A lot of times we lose out in business because we don't read the fine print. We wind up losing out on money. We wind up signing the wrong types of deals because legalese, if you ever been to court or read legal documents, it's almost a completely different language, right, than what we're taught in school per se. But every transaction you make when it comes down to making money in business is a contract. And so often we sign the wrong ones. So, we believe that having the proper legal advice as you grow in your business, I mean, if you have to sue somebody, right, then maybe it might be a civil case, right? It might be an attorney that does that as well if you have to go to court. But typically they might be general practice law attorneys and they read the documents and things of that nature. But it's important to have, right? How many times do we sign something? At least 5-6 times a month we sign something. Even on the internet, do we really read it? Think about it. Exactly, right? And then think about how many times the people in the music industry you hear about they signed deals and contracts and didn't make any money. Because sometimes in business we get so excited on the deal or the prospect of the idea of making money, we make a very impulsive decision. And sometimes you have to slow down and say, you know what? It's a good thing to say, let me have my attorney read that. It's a different conversation when it comes down to that. Yeah, so we partnered with a group. You know, they have about maybe I would say 4,000 attorneys, and it's modest, right?
Yeah,
on a monthly basis, what you pay. Because if you had to go to an attorney when something's really wrong, it's $200-$300 an hour. So they'll do some real cursory, basic stuff for you. But lease agreements, non-competes, right? Your NWAs, write a letter, right? You're going to be in position if you're in business. I've been in business long enough. You're going to have some disgruntled clients. You're going to have some people that want to sue you. You're going to have some people that want to disparage you in some way, shape, or form. It's going to happen if you're in business long enough. I don't care if you're BMW, Bentley, whatever. Someone is going to be unhappy. Even if you've done everything you should, they got people with mental health issues out there, right? So I've been sued before, right?
For what?
I had a piece of property. So we got sued. There was a fire next door. So I had a tenant that sued me because the fire was next door. And the fire department came in, damaged their, it was in Jersey. Fire was next door. So they came into the place that I owned. And they came and the fire hose all through it, damaged everything that was in the apartment to put the fire out next door. So the tenant sued me. And the bottom line, we live in a very litigious world, right? We have we're fifth, I think, in the world in terms of...
For those that don't know what litigious is.
Yeah, attorneys, lawsuits, right? Okay. Just litigation, back and forth.
Litigious, learned a new word today.
Yeah, so we live, and the bottom line is you don't have to be right or wrong. You can sue somebody just because you feel like waking up and I'm going to sue you.
I know. Right? I know.
So having that, we talked about health insurance and life insurance. You need to have a little bit of a legal insurance in some way, shape, or form. Because they could come, right? So even if we have the team will write a letter for you for collections. Very different if I call you up and say, listen, I need my money, as opposed to coming from a law firm. It just appears. The appearance is everything.
Perception is everything.
Right. So when you're doing business, even though you might be small, you want to appear.
Proper representation.
Absolutely. So legal is extremely important in all facets and so on, because it's easy to sign something and sign your life away.
There are a lot of ways to get access to capital, but there's like you said, it's elementary when you start looking at the foundations on what it really takes for someone to entrust that you're gonna pay this money back.
Credit,
because ain't nothing free. Money doesn't come free. Money comes with interest. Money comes with terms, and depending on what you need that funding for is gonna kind of dictate in how you get it. Because if you're looking for money to start a business, there's a route to that. You got to have your checks and balances, your T's crossed and your I's dotted, and most importantly, your credit in position, because it's hard to get access to capital, especially after COVID. Now, we get clients that, they have high limit credit cards, never missed a payment. Even post-COVID, if you can have a bunch of credit cards, high limits, they let you rock. Now, go over your limit a certain percentage. You may wake up and it may be cut in half just on a perception that you could potentially not pay it back. So funding guidelines have gotten real strenuous. It's gotten extremely more difficult to get access to capital. There are always going to be creative ways when you tie in personal credit and business credit. You're going to always scroll and see how you can get $50,000 in 2 minutes. Those type of things aren't going to go anywhere, because in essence, you can leverage these things to get access to capital quick, legally. But it's all about what are you using it for, how you're going to pay it back. Those are the most important things that you have to, put in place. What's your exit strategy? What's your blueprint, your business plan for when you do get this capital? Where's it going? Where's your budget?
Where's it going? What's your budget?
That's defining how you're going to spend this, when you're going to slow down. Do you have reserves? All of these things are important, not just I'm going to wake up and get $50,000 today.
Yeah. So one thing, just to end on that note, right? So the cool thing from the funding perspective is that you need options. So we have like probably, I would say maybe 75, 100 different lenders that we have on the platform. So you might not qualify for this from Chase or Bank of America, but there's different levels of different lenders that will accept certain profiles. The rate might be a little bit higher, but it gets you in the game.
It'll get you in the game.
Right? And at least if you can start with something, it might not be where you want to start, but it gets you in the game. And then how do we collectively work over the next 6 months so your next loan is a better term?
And you have an easier
chance.
Right?
Yeah. So having options for us is pretty cool. So, and then you can chat about the ebook. But one thing we're pretty excited about is the USBA, right? It is the USBA.com, where it really talks about, we have all our different vendors that kind of curate a system for you to take advantage of all the 8 pillars. Some might be a little bit later. Some might be more immediate. You might come to us and have great credit, right? But you might be looking for a mortgage, or you might be looking to get access to business credit cards. So whatever it is, we trying to put that all together. So the USBA.com, an IG perspective, I'm Jeff.Broome on IG. And then obviously we're owners of the USBA.
Jeff.Broome.
Yeah, I'm real simple. I don't have a disco name or anything of that nature. I'm Jeff.Broome.
And what about you, Quincy? I mean, I know where to find you, but you got to tell the people.
No, for both, the USBA on all social media platforms, Credit Concepts, our credit.
With a K.
With Ks. Quincy, INC for personal. For the past 4 years, we've been teaching financial literacy education in the Department of Education, but now we're going to start bringing this type of education directly out to our communities. Starting in February, we will be offering financial literacy classes to the youth at our Credit Education Center at 1175 Castle Hill Avenue in the Bronx, New York. So if you want to make sure that your child from the ages or grades of 6 to 12 is getting access to this type of education, make sure you stay tuned on how to register your child for our financial literacy classes at our Credit Education Center with Credit Concepts, 1175 Castle Hill Avenue, Bronx, New York.
You're watching Hot with Holiday.